Hello, everyone. Welcome in, welcome in. Let me know if you can see me and hear me. Today, we're going to dive into the topic of money, money, money. So, thank you all for those of you who voted on the Instagram page for which topic to go on. We are going to dive right in and talk about how to be lucky and smart with money. Because let's be honest, we all need money. We all wonder how to get more of it. And lastly, we also wonder how to keep money rather than allowing it to drain out of us like a leaky bucket of water. So, give this video a like, a thumbs up if you are excited to get lucky and smarter with your money, especially if you are desiring to see more of this type of content. The algorithm suggests the things that you engage with, the things you like, the things you watch. So if you want to see more content like this, you can influence your newsfeed. Give this a video a like. So I've had a bit of new subscribers recently, so I always like to start these videos by giving a little bit of an introduction. I am Eileen, Leanie, like my friends call me, so you'll from now on hear me say more Leanie. For the past 15 years of my life and my career, it has been an adventurous exploration with consistent growth towards my own personal North Star and life mission. And I love to use my intuitive gifts to coach other people to do the same for themselves. So let's dive into the topic. Hello, Vanessa. Vanessa says, hi, yay, I'm ready to learn. And Erica has dropped in some very lucky money into the chat. So I'm so excited. So before I begin, I want to start by saying that there is so much that I can say about this topic, but we're going to narrow it down to the bare essentials. And if I need to do another video, or if there are specific topics you want me to dive deeper into, we can absolutely do that. And as you may know, I am not a financial advisor, so please take this video as an educational video based on my own personal life experiences, and do consult with your own personal advisor to really make specific changes based on your specific circumstances. So let's start with talking about lucky. So when I think of luck, I think of two different types of luck. And I made a video about how to create your own luck a couple of months ago. So you can see that in the description box. I will add it after this video. And I spoke about several types of luck, but today I want to focus on two types. One is blind luck, and the other is luck from motion, which is what I like to call shaking the trees. So, starting with blind luck, I'll go into both of them, but starting with blind luck, I remember when I was in college, and even after college, my mom would sometimes tell me, like, hey, Eileen, you just received this mail. And I would open up the mail and it would be a random check. So, sometimes it would be checks from I don't even remember, to be honest, but you could ask my mom. I used to receive all kinds of checks in the mail all the time, and I'm always like, yes, a new check. I don't know. Had no idea this was coming. I was not expecting it. And this is one thing I want to talk about, being able to recognize in any specific moment that you are literally receiving money. So think about it. How many people would receive that check, deposit it into their bank accounts, and then move on to their next complaint in life, right? Like, okay, you just Shirley Worley with the beautiful emojis, the fun emojis. Yes, because money gets to be fun. So, when you think about that experience, some people might receive the check, put it into their bank, and then move on to the next complaint in life. Versus how many people will actually stop and say, wow, I was not expecting to receive X, Y, and Z amount of money, and then remaining in this energy of appreciating this pleasant surprise. So this to me is a huge component to luck, which is being able to recognize luck when it hits you, right? Because you could be the luckiest person in the world, but if you are not like opening your eyes and ears and seeing and recognizing that luck, then you would feel like you have no luck, right? So that's the first thing I want you to think about, because we don't have control over blind luck. when you get a lucky strike, or someone pulls you out to the side of the street and tells you that you could be a wonderful model, and then you get into the modeling industry from that perspective. That's more like blind luck, right? This person just went out one day in the street and someone scouted them and say, hey, I think you could be a model, and then they became a great model, right? You can't control that kind of luck. So what helps is realizing and recognizing that you just got hit with luck, right? So the next thing I want to talk about is luck through motion. This is what I personally like to think of as creating your own luck, what I described as shaking the trees, right? If you walk past an apple tree and all of the apples are stuck on the leaves or on the branches, well, if you want to get an apple, you can climb the tree and you know, get grab one of the apples. You can get a stick and try to hit the tree a little bit, or the branches, the leaves, so that some of those apples can drop. Or you can shake the tree so that you can get more of those apples to drop. And to me, this is what is called luck through motion. So get in the game. Do not stay in the sidelines when it comes to money, when it comes to creating opportunities to get more money. Do not stay in the sidelines when it comes to seeing the opportunities and going after them. Because if we're only waiting on blind luck, we could be waiting for the rest of our lives. So I want us to really take ownership of being able to create our own luck. And there are so many ways to make money. If you just look out into the world, look online, you will see that there are opportunities upon opportunities. I remember at one point in time, I was living in this New Jersey apartment, which was facing the New York City skyline. And what I used to do is just imagine all of the different buildings across the New York City skyline. I used to imagine that they were made out of stacks of cash, and realizing just how much money exists on that one island of Manhattan, how much money is out there. And it's all about learning how to get our hands on it. So, one way to look at it is that you can acquire a new skill set. So, let's say I'm going to use myself as an example because um, I know myself the best and I know my journey the best, so I can share these examples based off of that. So I started my career in the tech industry, not necessarily working in a tech specific role. I was working on the business side of the tech industry, so marketing specifically. And I decided that I would learn a new skill since I was in tech and I was selling technology, selling or marketing technology, but I didn't know how to build the technology. I realized I am missing out. I am missing out on new lucky opportunities because there's a skill set out there that I don't yet have that I actually desire to have. So what did I do? I invested in a coding boot camp out in London, and then came back to the US when I was ready to start the job search after I learned the skill and found the opportunities out there. So that's one way to create your own luck. Acquire a new skill set based off of what you see out in the world. What are the trends that you see? What are the things that you are really good at that you just need to take a course or a boot camp on in order to increase your skill set so that you can then leverage that knowledge to create more opportunities, more luck with money for yourself. And then once you do that, something very important you want to do that's going to help increase your chances of being lucky with money is to learn to sell yourself. So whether you are in a corporate world, whether you are a business owner, whether you are a salesperson, this is going to be necessary everywhere you go in order to increase your chances of getting lucky with getting more money, making more money, right? So if you have the best skill set in the world, like you're the best software engineer that has ever existed, or you are the best architect that has ever existed, but you don't necessarily know how to put yourself out there. Let's say, for example, for those working in corporate, if you don't know how to put together a resume that really shows and showcases and speaks to the skills that you have, speaks to the impact that you have had in other spaces, other places, then you won't be lucky in getting those opportunities. So many times people think that, I'm just not lucky, I'm just not lucky, I'm not getting opportunities. Well, maybe it's not that you're not lucky. Maybe it's just that you haven't necessarily figured out how to articulate your value in such a way that's going to increase your chances of getting lucky by allowing people to see your value. So, learning to sell yourself in interviews, when you're having sales conversations with clients, it's going to be very, very, very important to up your luck. So, start by understanding what places, industries, locations value who you are, value your skill sets, value what you bring to the table, and focus your attention there. And this is going to be a long video, guys. So this is going to be long. I'm realizing like there's things that I want to get through. I might cut it off at a certain point because, we can always do a follow-up video. But yes, if there are any questions that you have, 100% feel free to drop them in the chat as we go, and we'll keep it rolling. So the other thing I want to talk about is, when it comes to getting lucky with money, is creating the opportunities like we spoke about, but not only, like stopping there, but actually going after the things that you desire. So, getting things done, right? Because if you tell yourself, okay, I'm going to acquire this new skill set, I'm going to learn to sell myself. But if you don't do the things that are necessary in order for you to get there, it's going to be very difficult for you to get through to the other side. So, like when I thought about doing the boot camp, for example, to increase my skill set in coding, which helped me get a much greater salary than I had previously. Um, it was all about like, okay, I have this idea. I know I can do it. It's going to be difficult, and it was, but how do I keep going, keep going so that I can get to the other side and have the skill set in my pocket, in my toolkit, right? Because it's not enough to think about it. It's also about how to go after it. So it's like one of the topics that I spoke about in my community tab. Stop the magical thinking. Just because you hear the word luck, just because you think that you're going to acquire a skill set, just because you think that you're going to learn to sell yourself, it doesn't mean that you're actually going to do it just by magically thinking about it and speaking positivity into the air. Yes, that is very, 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 very important. But what's equally as important is to actually do the work, to actually get out there, to actually get your hands and feet dirty, right? Get into it, really dig deep. And then, of course, do your visualization, do your ideating, take your inspired action. But you have to actually use your 2 feet, have your 2 feet on the ground, even if you might want to sometimes place your head in the clouds, like I love to do. I love dreaming. I love visualizing. I love creating all types of vision boarding exercises or journaling. But it's with 2 feet on the ground, your head sometimes in the clouds so that you can ideate and really just soak in all of the inspiration, and then getting your head right back out of the cloud so that you can focus in, create something intentionally, and bring it from your head to your reality. So you are literally creating your own luck. The other thing I want to talk about is being generous, right? So, as a person, when you are going out there and you are networking, you are getting to know new people, you're looking for opportunities, you are, you know, getting to know new people, you want to, in some shape or form, be generous with others, right? Like it could be something super, super, super simple as giving compliments to people. If you notice something you love about the way, let's say you went to a networking event and there was a speaker and you really love the way the speaker elaborated on a specific story, being generous with your kindness, being generous with your compliments, and going up to them and saying, hey, this is what I appreciate about your talk. And you never know, that person could then turn around and ask you, like, hey, so tell me a little bit more about yourself. And that is creating an opportunity for luck right there, right? You're being generous in a way that you're kind of like planting seeds with a bunch of different people, and those seeds can sprout into different opportunities for more money. Someone can say, "Hey, I have this client that's looking for that exact same thing that you offer," and they might connect you, right? So it's this ability to be kind to people and create inspiration within them so that they can think of you when lucky opportunities come up. So it's not just being generous with your kindness, you can be generous with your time, you can be generous offering a service, anything. You just are in the mindset of generosity. And that is, for the most part, the mindset of abundance, right? Generosity and abundance can go hand in hand many times because when you're generous from the abundance mindset, you know that there's plenty of love, plenty of kindness to go around, and you can give here and there and watch it all come back to you. So, when it comes to getting lucky with money, because I do truly believe in creating your own opportunities, there's this word that we used to use back in college. So I was part of several organizations, but one of the organizations that I was a part of and became president of was ALPHA, the Association of Latino Professionals for America. And we used to use this word within our board, the leadership board, and it was beast. So whenever someone would just be amazing at creating their opportunities, we would say, wow, that person is a beast. You know, people would call me that sometimes. I would call other people that sometimes, like, wow, you're a beast. She's a beast. And in my humble opinion, I believe that money is attracted to beasts, to people who move, people who get things done, people who focus, who go after it, who are not afraid to really jump in there and get dirty with the things and the opportunities that they want to create, with the luck that they want to create for themselves. So do not be afraid to be a beast. I know several of you have found me through different communities that I've been part of. I know I've been part of a lot of femininity communities or different types of communities in regards to like manifestation and things like that. But I always like to learn about those things without forgetting who I am. And who I am is a person who actually truly likes to focus and dig deep on my goals, focus and dig deep on the things that are going to help me get there, the steps that are necessary, the research, the people. So I never step away from that beast mode necessarily completely. I like to bring in some of that femininity thinking, some of that, you know, manifestation thinking, but I never move away from the thing that has been my bread and butter, which is to go in there and get dirty, get the thing done, and do it in a way that feels graceful. So I know recently I updated my YouTube banner to say graceful badass because I truly believe you can be a badass and still be graceful. You can still be feminine. You can still be calm. You can still be at peace. You can still be at ease. And like I mentioned, you know, that I truly do believe money is attracted to that kind of movement and that kind of focus. Your ink says, I swear this is so timely, dear. Thank you very much for your share. No problem. Yes, I'm very happy to hear that. Like it's timely. Because I do think, you know, my sister and I were chatting a couple of days ago, and I do think this is timely, not only in terms of like today or this month or this year, but in terms of like this era for our generation, right? And how opportunities have changed and shifted, how the economy has changed and shifted for generations past versus our current generation. We think about like the real estate market and the prices and just inflation. There's just so much happening. So I do agree because my sister and I literally said that same exact thing. So I'm glad you said that. And then in terms of luck, the other thing I want to say is do right by people. So we spoke a bit about generosity, and the thing that I think is connected to that is when you get these lucky strikes, right? Someone tells you, "Hey, I know you create websites. I have this client that I work for in terms of creating videos, I don't know how to create a website, but I know that you do. Can you please help my client create a website? That's a lucky strike right there, right? You were not necessarily expecting that. That was a referral. So, in that point in time, you realize, someone just passed on an opportunity to you, and you want to do right by people because in that case, that person might refer more clients to you. So you maintain your kindness, you maintain your high level of service, you maintain your excellence when you work with that client that this person referred to you, so that this person can build that trust, because trust is built over time. It's built over time when you collaborate with people, when you work with people, when you do great work, and people start over the short term start building this level of trust that accumulates and accumulates and accumulates. So over the long haul, they see you as someone that they can do more and more work with. So this is why luck compounds, right? That was a lucky strike right there, where this person said, "Hey, I don't know how to do websites. You do. Can you take this client?" But do you see how it compounds? How that lucky strike compounds, because now this person knows that you are trustworthy. This person knows that you have this skill set and that you do great work, that their client was satisfied. So they will start to refer more and more and more and more and more people to you. That's how you compound your luck. So doing right by people, I think, is a very, very important topic that I don't know if I necessarily hear a ton about, but it really, really helps. So, for those of you who are currently here or who are watching the replay, what resources, skills, people, opportunities do you currently have at your disposal that will lead you to be luckier with money? So that's the luck part. Now we're going to move into being smart. And again, as I mentioned, if there are any questions, either now or afterwards, you can always feel free to message me on Instagram and, let me know what thoughts came up for you, what questions came up for you. So, talking about being smart with money. Once you acquire money through all of these lucky strikes, through acquiring these skills, through learning to sell yourself, through shaking the trees, through maybe even blind luck, there's a whole new level of mindset that is required in order to keep that money that has arrived to you, right? Because we all know if we get if we have the ability to make money, it's just as easy, if not way easier, to spend that money. Money comes in, money goes out. We all know that saying. We all know how that feels when it's like having a leaky bucket of water. No matter how much money you bring in, you never see the money at the end of the day. So, why is that? It's because several reasons, many reasons. But, there are circumstances in life which are out of our control sometimes, right? There are medical issues, there are, I don't know, a car breaking down, so many things that can happen in life. And because of that, because we know that, it's even more important for us to start now, more than ever, being smart with the money that we have, because we do not know what can happen in life. And I know for sure for myself, the last thing I want is to be in a pickle if some emergency comes up. And like, where's the money going to come from? I can't rely on luck necessarily, because to me, luck is a long game. It's the long game, right? You can get lucky several times in your lifetime. And, but what's really important when you hit those lucky strikes is, what do you do with that money so that you don't have to be in a pickle when things do happen? Vanessa Inspo says how to feel and be in the vibe of economic abundance when outside is not a reality yet. So I love this question because there's one thing I talk about pretty consistently that I actually didn't include in this video, but that topic that I speak about is community, right? To me, something that's so important is having a community of people that have similar goals, that have similar desires in life, working towards similar inspired directions. Because when you are by yourself trying to do something, it's very easy to get distracted by a negative thought. It's very easy to get distracted by looking out your window and seeing that there's, I don't know, whatever it is you're seeing sometimes out of your window, like a homeless person or things, people fighting, and you feel like the vibe is just not in a good space in order for you to create opportunity, to create abundance. But when you have good people in your life that are having similar goals, going in the same direction, you guys feed each other, right? You feed each other when someone is down, the other person might be up and having great success with something that just happened. They might just get a job. And then that person getting that job or getting that lucky opportunity is going to inspire you to go shake the trees. So to me, it's so very important to have that community. And let's say you don't know anyone that has similar goals to you. Let's say you don't know anyone that has a similar mindset to you. One thing I've been doing for like the majority of my life is using the internet as my fuel for inspiration. And let me be clear, like I have a great family. I have great when I was in college, especially, I had great people around me, great organizations. But even still, the internet was my source of fuel every single day, every single minute of the day, searching up quotes, searching up successful people, seeing how they did it, seeing how they got there. So even if you don't have these people in your life, you can get into that virtual community, and not necessarily in terms of having communication with these people online, but just watching multiple successful people. I think it's kind of dangerous to like focus in on one person, because then you get like sucked into their ideology, which I will talk about a little bit later too. So what I personally like to do is have a multitude of people that I draw inspiration from, who are older than me, who have been there, who are more successful than me. And that allows me to really stay in the vibe of economic abundance, even when it's not yet a reality. So, thanks for that question, Vanessa. I appreciate it. When it comes to being smart with money, three things I want you to think about: knowing finances as a subject, knowing yourself, and then combining the two to know your finances. So, when it comes to knowing finances, I think this is where people might get a little intimidated, because it's kind of like, where do I even begin? There's so much, so much. I literally, when I was preparing for this video, I made an entire list of like the different financial concepts that come to mind, right? Cash flow, net worth, assets, liabilities, safety net, emergency funds, investments, ETFs, index funds, expenses, liability. I think I said that already. Conservative, risky, high yield savings account, credit cards, debit cards, disposable income. The list goes on and on and on and on. So it's kind of like, where do you even begin? And I remember when I first got started with finances, I was lucky enough to like be in a business school that required that I take finance and accounting, multiple finance and accounting course classes in order to graduate. So I got to learn a little bit about finances as a subject. And then in addition to that, as I mentioned, I was part of the Alpha community, where there's a bunch of finance and accounting people. So I was surrounded by a lot of like financial concepts. But when I really learned about finances was when I got into the work world and I saw what resources were available. So for example, my first full-time job, they had the typical 401k matching. They had health savings accounts. They had stocks and grants that they would give us. So that's where I really got that foundational knowledge of not only finance as a topic, but personal finance as a topic, rather than finance as a large thing. And some of the most helpful things that I have found is high yield savings account. So rather than just going into your regular bank, local branch, Bank of America, Chase, or whatever it is, getting a high yield savings account that gives you interest, like a high amount of interest compared to the others, is very, very, very great place to start. So high yield means like high interest. And that's one thing. Then you've got your index funds and your ETFs. That's another thing. Then the other thing is debt. So, how do you leverage debt versus being irresponsible with debt, right? I think a really great place to start, and I know people bash on this poor man, Dave Ramsey. I know people bash on him, but one of the topics that he has that I find so very important is the 7 baby steps. And I'm going to also try to link that in the description box because to me it's very important. And I don't follow what he says word for word, step by step, but here are the 3 things in order of priority that he says to start with. One is an emergency fund. So this is what I was talking about earlier, right? Like when you're in a pickle, you don't want to be just like scraping around, asking people like, "Oh my God, can you help me?" Because you have nothing to your name necessarily. But if you start to build a small emergency fund, $50 every paycheck, I don't know, $100, whatever you can afford every paycheck, $1,000 every paycheck, whatever you are capable of putting to the side, building that emergency fund is the first step. Having that to the side, you don't touch it ever. You don't ever touch it unless you absolutely need to. And then the next thing Dave Ramsey said, which I do agree with in that order, like starting with the emergency fund, then it's paying down debt. So you pay down debt, and then that way you don't have to worry about, having this looming debt hanging over your head so that then you can move on to the next piece, which is investing. So I agree with that order: emergency funds, pay down your debt, invest. But I won't go much further than that with Dave Ramsey because I find it pretty dangerous to dig too deep into someone else's ideology because that brings you away from the second thing that I mentioned, which is to know yourself, right? Um, and so let's talk about that. Knowing yourself. Think about risk being what's your risk tolerance versus how conservative are you with money? Think about your desires in life. Like, do you want to own a home? Do you want to retire early? Do you want to be comfortable, enjoy your life? Do you do well with budgets? Can you stick to a plan? Are you more intuitive with your spending, or do you need like a strict budget in order to keep you on track? I personally like to tap into my intuition when it comes into my finances. And when something doesn't feel right, I love to listen to it. So the other thing is investing in yourself, like, but being smart about it. Like I mentioned, the coding boot camp that I took or taking courses. Okay, so that's that part, right? Knowing yourself. And what I think I'm going to tie into actually, so knowing finances, knowing yourself, and then knowing your individual finances. So this is what is most exciting to me about being smart with money. All the rest of it, I would highly encourage you go online, do research on finances as a topic. You're going to find a ton of research, and then if there's anything in there that you need more help with, 100%, or you want some like deeper thoughts on, feel free to message me on Instagram. But I would highly recommend you do research on Google, just like what is a high yield savings account. But this is the part I get excited about, which is knowing your own personal finances. Where I would say to start with this is having money values or money goals so that you can't be influenced this way or that way necessarily like a ton, right? If you have money values, which is, let's say, for example, I want to be free with my money. I want to be very generous with my money. That's one value. If another value you have is like, I want to be, I want to accumulate money, 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 money until I get to a certain point where then I can be generous with money. That's another value. Or if you just want to accumulate, accumulate, accumulate until you retire, that way you never have to think about it. That's another kind of set of values. So another thing to think about is your goals. Like, do you want to own a home? Do you want to, like I mentioned earlier, retire early? Do you want to have financial freedom? These kinds of goals will really help you set an intention. It will help you have a direction, a very clear direction, so that then you have clear boundaries on your finances. And you don't have to find yourself like needlessly splurging or giving away money unless that is what you have decided is one of your values, is one of your goals. So, as soon as you get your hands on money, I want you to be very clear about the intention for that money. Like, my intention is to save, my intention is to invest, my intention is to purchase property. Or let's say 20% of my money will go towards wardrobe, go towards activities, my fun budget, right? Be very clear on what that intention is. I just gave you a whole list of intentions, but choose what feels right to your gut. Like, what do you want for your life? And based on what you want for your life, then choose that intention so that when you get lucky and you hit those lucky strikes and you get your hands on money, you don't just open your hands and the money is gone. This is what I mean by being smart with money. Like, you are making a conscious, intentional decision about what is your path with money. So, this is the stuff I get excited about when it comes to finances, if I'm truly honest, because this is the bridge between inner work and finances. And I just love it. I love it. To me, what's most exciting is like that self mastery, right? Being a master of your own mind, being a master of your own emotions. We all have work to do. Let's be very honest. We, and myself included. But to me, this is the journey of a lifetime, being able to continuously work on yourself so that you can reach the goals that you have for yourself in this lifetime. I personally don't only like to think about goals for today or for tomorrow, for 5 years from now. I like to think about goals for like when I'm 90 years old. What am I going to be proud of? You know, tomorrow is not a given, tomorrow is not promised, but if you end up at 90 years old, you're going to wonder why, like maybe it would have been nice to think a little bit about it. But again, that's where your own gut, your own intuition is going to come into play. So once you have those goals, think about like, what do you need to get there? How much money do you need? And all of that. And another touchy subject that I saw come up in certain spaces, I won't speak too much about these things, but the topic of frugality came up. And what I want to say is never let anyone make you feel bad for being frugal. Um, I do believe in being humble when it comes to money, right? Because you never know what's going to happen in life. Anything can happen. So, you dust yourself off, you keep going. None of us are immune to the realities of life. So stay humble in your thinking as much as can be. But what I do want to say is when it comes to the word cheap or frugal, those words are thrown around and they can be hurtful because it's kind of like, you have those intentions, you have those goals with money, and having these words thrown at you can kind of throw you off track. So never let an online coach, never let your friends, anyone that is influencing you lead you to feeling shame for being cheap. No, you're not being cheap. You're being frugal, maybe, and maybe smart with money. So, what I personally suggest when it comes to frugality, because no one wants to be frugal forever. Maybe some people do, but I know if you're here with me and you like beauty, you like clothing, you like travel, you like whatever it is that you like, I recommend starting frugal when you're just getting started with money. And then once you have built a solid foundation, it's okay to start to loosen up a bit. But, but, on the flip side, if you are the kind of person who doesn't care to be frugal, you actually enjoy spending money, giving away money, and doing all these things, there needs to come a point where there's a level of self control. Like, do you have self control when it comes to spending? Do you have boundaries with yourself and others when it comes to your money? So, we spoke about debt a little bit, but let's say you already have debt. Never let your debt spiral out of control to the point where you can no longer keep up with it. You don't have a handle on it. As soon as I get to a place where it's like, okay, I'm getting a little bit uncomfortable with my debt. It's done. It's getting paid off. I don't want to see it. I'd rather be at zero debt. There it is, right? So they always say like pay off your credit cards every month. And you can do that. That's great. But let's say, for example, if you are accumulating debt, try not to let it get spiral out of control. If you have a tendency to impulse spend or impulse shop, try to keep that at a minimum as much as possible. And like I mentioned, this all depends on your circumstances, where you are in your life, where you are with your finances. Me, for one, for the first 4 years of my career, I made almost zero impulse purchases, almost zero. I was a nut. I was a crazy nut when it came to making sure that I was building a great foundation for myself. It's like zero impulse, delayed gratification. When I'm ready, I will get there. And then once I built a good financial foundation for myself, then I started opening up a little bit. I'm still not all the way there yet, but a little bit. But that was because I had that foundation, because I had that safety net, because I felt at ease and my nervous system was at ease because of the safety net that already existed. So, this is super important to note. Gosh, there is just so much more that I can talk about, but I'm going to start to wrap this up a little bit. Thank you guys for being here. Let's talk about one more thing in regards to finances, which is sacrifices, right? We spoke about goals, we spoke about intention, we spoke about direction, we spoke about where you might want to be when you're 90 years old, sacrifices. So, some people might want to dive into entrepreneurship. Some people might want to take a sabbatical or take a mini retirement. What I recommend for those who are interested in that is to think about the topic of risk tolerance versus like being more conservative in your thinking when it comes to finances. If you have a high tolerance for risk, diving into entrepreneurship, diving into a sabbatical, a mini retirement, when you only have like a base foundation of finances, which might not feel like super safety net ish, that's something you really have to think about for yourself. So, for example, when I decided to leave my corporate job momentarily or temporarily to take a sabbatical, a mini retirement, what I did prior to that was have conversations with my family and like think about all of the things that could go wrong and just preparing myself mentally and preparing myself financially. Like, do I have the safety net that's going to make me feel okay with being outside of the working world, not receiving a paycheck for X amount of months? And if you are the type of person that is interested in taking that type of leap, and the answer is no, you don't have the financial means in order to do it, then don't do it. Take your time. There's no need to rush. There's no need to jump. There's no need to dive because people might, you know, encourage you to do that. But if they are not there to catch you, then that advice is not necessarily going to help you. So that's where you tap into your intuition and you say, am I where I need to be in order to make this kind of a jump? And if not, you might need to sacrifice staying a little longer. Erica asks, would you say being frugal limits the abundance mindset? I think this can go in multiple ways. So for me, being frugal increases my abundance mindset because I know that if anything, I am super safe. It calms my nervous system, and therefore I can take more risks, I can take more opportunities, I can go out there and do a few more things that are out of my comfort zone and increase the level of abundance. I think where it gets a little dangerous is in terms of like abundance mindset and frugality is when it goes to an extreme where you're just like penny pinching and it's coming from a place of fear. So, in my mind, fear is the killer of an abundance mindset. Too much fear. You know, there's a healthy amount of fear, which leads you to be smart with your money, which leads you to be intentional about your money, which leads you to build that solid foundation. But if it gets to a point where you're just like, I need to cling to every dollar because I don't know what's going to happen, then that won't allow you to really be at a calm, settled state in order to bring in more money. So I love that question too, because it's like, what's the boundary? What are the bounds of frugality that will put you into a place of being able to bring in more abundance, which is when it comes from a place of safety, when it comes from a place of giving you that cushion, like the masculine container that allows you to then flourish as a creative feminine person versus when it's too much. So, for example, we were talking about sacrifices in entrepreneurship, taking sabbaticals, mini retirement. Your sacrifice of being frugal for, let's say, 5 years will be the thing that helps you become that entrepreneur. Take that sabbatical, take that mini retirement, because they work hand in hand. Kind of like I love to talk about the masculine and the feminine. The masculine being the frugality in my mind is the structure, the, consistently investing in your savings account, in your investments account. It's what's going to help you have the space, the freedom, the creativity to dive into these more risky things like entrepreneurship or taking time off because you have that. Yeah, so that's my thought. And again, if there's anything you guys want to dive deeper into, feel free to continue asking questions. My inbox is open on Instagram, and I can make more videos diving into any particular one of these subjects that you guys are interested in. So keep the questions coming, keep the ideas flowing, and let me see if there's anything else that I had here. So you take those leaps. If the answer is no, okay. So there, yeah. One last thing I had here is I know like there's a lot of talk in different communities about like entrepreneurship, and I do want to say there's nothing wrong with being an employee. Not everyone was made to be an entrepreneur. Not everyone has the either the skill set or the desire or the inclination to be an entrepreneur. So if being an employee makes you feel safe, it makes you feel abundant because that paycheck is consistently coming in, that is a beautiful thing. That is a beautiful thing. Just as it's a beautiful thing to be an entrepreneur, to want to take risks, to want to dive headfirst, to want to fight fires, to want to get out there and create something new and innovative outside of the bounds of a company. That is also a beautiful thing. So I just want to leave that with you guys because I know that's something that has come up recently. So I wanted to dive into it. But yes, like I mentioned, I can dig deeper into any one of these subjects. So let me know what your favorite one was in the comment box. Let me know if you want more videos related to money like this one. And as many of you know, I've been blasting it everywhere. I have my Feminine Get Ish Done formula program being released now. And for those on the wait list, those who join the wait list, it's practically going to be 50% off. I'll have that discount code sent to your mailbox, your inbox. And yeah, this program is going to be applicable to many areas of your life. Like it's literally timeless principles that are going to help you get things done in your life, get you from just an idea in your head to actually living it in your real life, taking action, taking steps. There's going to be an element of accountability every week because I know we all struggle with accountability and that's what we need sometimes. So if that's something that sounds exciting to you, something you want, then sign up for the waitlist, which is perfect, which is 100% free to join the waitlist. No commitment if you decide when I release the program that you don't want to join in. But yeah, all of the links are in the description box. This is not going to be airy-fairy learning, but actually applying the learnings that we have had into real life tangible action. So the price is unbelievably low right now for the amount of value that I'll be offering you. So another question has come in. Vanessa Inspo, what do you suggest to do in a spiritual level and in an action level that could make the biggest impact to shift. One second. The text is being covered up. I'm just going to add something into the text box so that I can see what you wrote. Okay. So, what do you suggest to do in a spiritual level and in an action level that could make the biggest impact to shift and that we can do immediately? So, what I personally love to do is to grab a piece of paper, and what I would say first on a spiritual level is to sit and have a conversation with God, whatever you believe in, whether that's God, the universe, your higher self, whatever it is that you believe in. Take a moment to really just sit with yourself and with that higher power and really ask, like, what am I placed on this world to do? What do you want me to focus my time, my energy, my efforts on? Time, energy, and effort. That can be your mental time, energy, and effort. That can be your physical time, energy, and effort. So really sit with that question and start to journal on it. Or if you're not a journaler, if you don't really like journaling, then meditate on that question, right? Like, what am I placed on this earth to do? And from that perspective, what is the overlap between what I was placed on this earth to do and what will increase my luck with money? Where does that overlap exist? And then journal on it, like the stream of consciousness journaling. See what comes through. You never know, like, what your subconscious mind is hiding in terms of ideas that will help increase your luck with money, that will help increase not only your luck, but the satisfaction that you have with creating that luck in your life. And in terms of like practical steps, after you do that, honestly, I would say whatever inspired ideas you get from that journaling, from that meditation, from that prayer, take at least one action step, literally. I'm not the kind of, I don't like to be the kind of coach that tells people where they need to go in life, what they need to do with their life, what their life needs to look like. I'm the kind of coach that wants to know what you want your life to look like, what you feel your life needs to look like, what you desire your life to look like. So helping you tap into your own intuition so that then you can take the step forward. So that's what I want you to do. Like, push away all of the influences that you have in your life from people, coaches, friends, family, society, TV, Netflix shows, and tap into your own self, seeing what you desire and then what's going to increase your opportunities of luck, and take the action step. Because doing all of the spiritual stuff without taking the action is going to make you feel like you are stuck. And that's what we're all trying to avoid. Like, how do we stop feeling stuck and actually start moving forward? So, whenever that inspired idea comes, do it. Do it, do it, do it. If that inspired idea is to go out there and send a LinkedIn message to someone, take advantage of that inspiration and write that LinkedIn message and close your eyes and press the send button. If that inspired action idea is to like go to an event for the industry that you are a part in, whether that's tech, finance, fashion, art, if that inspired idea is to go to an event so that you can be around opportunities, so that you can be around abundance, go ahead and do that. So it always goes both ways, right? Like, it's a cycle, right? Spirituality on this end, action on this end. Spirituality feeds the action, and then the action, once you take that action, you go back to spirituality. What's my next step, God? Where do you want me to go next? Sometimes the guidance is to pause right there. You did everything you need to do. Let me take care of the next step. Sometimes that's the guidance that I get. Don't move. Stop. Just go for a swim, go for a walk. Just shh. Shh, shh, shh. Just stop. Stop right there. Sometimes that's the guidance. So the action is pause. That's an action too. I don't know. In my mind, I like to view that as an action because it takes me some work to just pause sometimes. Pause, just stop. And then, okay. And then you never know what's going to come in your direction. What person is going to send you a message and is going to say, "Oh, Eileen, I thought of you. You came up to my mind. Vanessa, like I know you're into X, Y, and Z kind of thing. And this person came to mind." So then you're going to get that hit of inspiration again when that comes to you. You take the action and then you go right back to spirit. Okay, I did that thing. Oh my God, it was so scary. I can't believe I did it. I'm so excited and proud of myself for doing that. It was so scary. I don't know if I could do it again. What is my next step? And what spirit tells you, you keep flowing. It's a cycle. Keep going through that cycle. Spirit and action. You are so welcome. You are so, 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 so welcome. Thank you so much, ladies, for your questions, for your attention, for your trust, being here and sharing yourselves with all of us here. So I thank you, ladies, so much. This is a side note, so let's end the training there. And of course, if you have any other questions, you can drop them in the chat. But as a side note, in the Instagram poll that I did, I asked you guys which topic you wanted me to cover. And the two options were how to be lucky and smart with money, which is this training. And then the other topic was how to be the trend rather than follow the trends. And I started working on the cover image for how to be the trend. And this is what I came up with. I love it. If any of you, like me, used to watch Dora the Explorer before school, and you guys remember swiper no swiping, yeah, so how to be a trendsetter, they will copy you, and swiper no swiping. It was just funny. I don't even know if I'm actually going to make this a video. I scheduled it for this week. I might cancel it. I don't know. It's just for fun. But Erica, thank you so much for that. Yes, absolutely. Okay, ladies. Well, have a wonderful rest of your night or day, rest of your week. And let's do it. Let's, make the best of all those lucky opportunities. Let's take the action. And then once we get our hands on some money, let's be smart about it and really listen to your intuition. I do want to refer back to the frugality question. Just because I have been the person who started with frugality in my life, it doesn't mean that that's right for you. Or just because someone else has been the kind of person who brings in more opportunities by spending and spending and spending, it doesn't mean it's right for you. So the number one thing I want you to take out of this is to go back to listening to your gut. Go back to listening to your intuition. Go back to those prayers, talking to God, asking God for direction. Go back to that journal and ask your higher self for direction, whatever it is you believe in. Always go back to yourself. Just because other people are doing things a certain way, it does not ever, 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 ever mean that you need to do the same thing. I know we are social creatures and we're going to be influenced by other people. It's natural. So don't ever beat yourself up for being influenced by others. But if something just doesn't feel right for you, listen to that. There is so much truth and so much guidance in your own intuition. Your own intuition is going to lead you to great places. Okay? All right. So that is it for today. Thank you all so much. Have a great night, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.